two types of methodologies. First methodology, client is sending the data without validating the data. Directly we are dumping the data into our records. It's a very easiest method. There is no validation required. You can just copy the data from the file and you can dump the data into our record. There is no much practice involved. You can write a simple application engine and you can dump the data into the record. But coming to the validation side, if your client is asking, okay, I am sending the data to you, please load the data as per the validation defined in the PeopleSoft. Then some tools will come into the picture. File layout and component interface. First of all, what will be the validation? What will be the validation? Okay, you have a component. Okay, just for coming to our component. You have a component and you have different types of validations, like country must and should be the valid country. Basic salary must and should be the less than or greater than equal to 10,000. And your gross salary should be the sum of basic and allowances. I like that we define some of the validations in our component build. Then let us think, for our component, we are getting the data from third party. Then, whenever we are loading the data into our component, we have to pass all these validations. Okay, one employee data is coming from the third party, that employee is holding invalid country. Then, we should stop that employee to load. One employee is not passing the validation of basic salary. Then we should stop the employee to load. Then, how do we do the validation? Already, we written the validation in the component level or record level or page level. The validation is firing whenever we are adding the data from the front end. Then, if you are writing an application engine program, if you are ready to load the data into that particular component, then how do you fire the validation? Are we expecting to write the entire validation again in the people code of application engine? No, it's not required. If you are doing that, that is the reason some tools are introduced here. First, we will see the inbound practice. Inbound practice with PeopleSoft validation. They will use the word component validation. Here, two types of processes will be there. First process, two steps will be there. In the inbound practice of component validation, two steps. In the first step, get file data and place it in a staging record. In the next step, get staging record data and validate it to place in database records. That means the very first step, we are getting the data from the file and we are placing it in the staging record. In the next step, we are getting the staging record data and validate it, placing the database records. Here, why should we be using the staging record? What is the purpose of staging? Why don't we combine these two steps in a single step? Get file data and validate it to place in the database records. Exactly. You can do it. Then Why we split in two steps? Why? Because file will reside on the file servers. To fetch each and every employee, you are hitting the file and you are collecting the employee data. You are hitting the file and you are collecting the employee data every time. That means your processing speed will be low. Whenever you are just getting the file data without any validation placing record, it won't take much time. Then after that, once your data is placed in a staging record is nothing but a PeopleSoft record. It's available in the PeopleSoft database. Then what is the structure of the staging record? The structure of the staging record is a replica of this database record. Why? Because whatever the data you are getting from the file, the data should be matched with your database record structure. That is the reason we have to create our staging records is a replica of our database records. Once the data placed in the staging records, then staging record is available in the PeopleSoft database. Then no need to hit the other server. Within our database, we are operating the system. That is the reason we are using the staging record. Then to complete the first step, we need two tools. The first tool is application engine and file layout. These two tools. And to complete the next step, we need again AE and AE means application engine component interface. These two tools we are going to use. Then which one will take care about the application? Component interface will take care about that. Then, okay, coming to our scenario. Here is our component, PeopleSoft HRMS Technical. Here we have a design like employee, dependents, institutions, like that we have number of levels are there in a component. Then today we are going to load the data into our component. This is our component. In general, if we are loading the data by front end, then it will be different. But we are loading the data from the back end. Whenever we are trying to load the data, we have to pass all the validations. Like I think we have validation here. Try to save it. It is fine. Please enter basic data and 10,000. These type of validations I'm expecting from the backend also. Every validation. Then this is the component and these are all the records. Employee table is holding this structure. Institution table, or dependent table, institution table, location table, salary table, everything. Then, whenever we are trying to load the data into this employee table, that particular staging record is also holding the same structure. First, we will complete this step. To complete that particular step, we need the files. We are the clients for us, then we are going to create our own files. Employee table. We are holding the data, employee ID, and employee name, and birth date 01/01/1980. And gender male. Like this. We have one more employee. I'm taking only 4 fields. Employee number 2, like this. Just save it as, save this file as Here I am saving my file as employee.csv, comma separated version file. Then coming to the next, employee created. Now I'm moving with the dependent. The dependent file structure is holding employee ID. That is the reason I'm giving my employee ID. And the dependent ID. D1, name, dependent 1, and age 23. Enough. For employee number 1, dependent 2, dependent ID 2, 56. For employee 1, dependent 3, dependent ID 3, 12. Employee number 2, dependent 1, dependent 1, 52. Employee 2, dependent 2. Okay. Then just save your dependent file. .csv. Then coming to the next one, the same way we have to create all the files. Next one is the institution. Institution is holding employee ID, dependent ID, and institution ID, and institution name. The next, employee ID 2, dependent 1, institution 1. And just save your institution data. .csv. The next table is the location table. Location table is holding again the employee ID, dependent ID, institution ID, and location ID, and location description. Employee ID 2, dependent ID 1, dependent ID 2, dependent ID 1, institution 1, location 1. Just save your location table. .csv. The last one is the salary table. Again, employee 1, job code J1, salary 14,250. Employee 1, job code 2, the second job is doing 15,250. Employee 2, job 1, 13,000 is doing. Just save it as salary.csv and just save it. Now our files got ready. We have to complete our first step. To complete the first step, staging record is required. Just check your files first. All these are the files. Then fine. Staging record. Already I told you staging record is nothing but a replica of each and every table. Then just create a save as employee staging. People code is not required. Click on no. Now just build the record. Employee staging. Because it's a database record, it should hold data. Then check the record existence in database. select star from XYZ employee staging. Now it's ready. It should display the data. It should display the structure of the employee staging in the database. Then coming to the next table, dependent. In the dependent table also we have to do the same thing. Create a save as command and create the dependent staging table and build the table. This is the dependent table, file, save as, dependent staging. Build the table by using the create table option. Dependent table creation is done. This is the employee table structure. Check the dependent table also. Dependent table structure. The next table is the institution table. Just use the save as command. This is the dependent table structure. Like that, we have to create each and every table structure here. Institution, just save as, institution staging, and build the table. Institution table structure is done. Just run the query and check the institution table structure. This is the institution. The next table is the location. Just use the save as command. Staging. Build the table. Check the table structure. The last and final is the salary table. And build the table. Salary. Now, this is the one. Okay, we are done. We created the staging tables. The next, we have to process the things. We have to create the file layout. File layout is nothing but it's a tool. It is a tool which will help us to compare the file structure and staging table structure. Here I am creating a file layout. Then we have to create the file layout for each and every structure. We have file layout, 5 files and 5 staging records. This is the file layout structure. You have 2 tabs, definition and preview tab. Okay, in the preview tab, come to the preview tab. This is the segment name and this is the default file. Here you have to give your file name. Browse your file. browse your file. Where is the file? No, this is your employee file. Okay. Then for this file, which record you have to map? Insert record. You have to map your staging record. Employee staging. This is the record. Go to the preview again. Select the segment. It is giving the comparison, but looks like data is mismatched. Why? Why? Because the file type is different. Where we can change the file type. Go to the file layout properties. Go to the use tab. File layout format is taken fixed, but we decided it's CSV. Only 3 types of files it will accept: fixed, CSV, and XML. Then, what is the fixed? Fixed file type means if your employee ID is 11 characters, then E1 is your employee ID, then you have to give 9 spaces. Then name. If it is holding 30 characters, then you have to give 30 character space. If it is a CSV file, the file structure will be like this. No need to worry about field lengths. You can separate the fields by using a comma. If it's XML, the file will be like this. But we are using now the CSV. That is the reason select the CSV. Once we selected the CSV, click on OK, automatically the data got adjusted perfectly. Then just save it. We are done. We created a file layout for my employee file. Employee file layout. Everybody will think, okay, file, once we created the file layout, data successfully inserted into the staging record. No, it's not. To cross-check the things, run the query for employee staging. Still it is blank. Still it is blank. Then, what is the use of file layout? Already I told you, it's just a comparison which will help us to compare the structure of file with the staging record. We compared it. Now it is looking good. Then do the same operation. Create a file layout for a dependent record. Select the dependent file and insert your dependent record here. Dependent staging. And go to the preview. Again the same concept. CSV. And just save it. Do the same for all remaining files. I'm doing now for my institution. And go to the insert record option. Select the institution here. Institution staging you have to select. And go to the preview. Change the file format to CSV. Then the next one is on the location. Location staging. You save it as location file. And the last one is the 7. Do the same thing here. Change the file layout format here to CSV. Then just save it. Now your file layouts got created successfully. Then how do you load the data into the staging records by using this file layout? I am creating an application engine. Just save this application engine as employee inbound. This is my application engine name, xyz_amp_in. Here I am giving a description, employee file load to staging. Here I am adding a people code action, and within the people code action I am using the drag and drop option for my employee file layout. Just I drag and drop. Entire code will generate for you. No need to write a single line of code from your side. Whenever I am using the drag and drop option for my employee file layout into the app engine people code, the entire code will generate. These two are the delivery functions within the code. It will take care about the edit records and input segments. This is the primary people code we have to take care. Import data. From where it is importing, it is opening the file get file, emp.csv, this is the file path. And it is creating a log file. If you are getting any issues, it is creating a log file. And this is our file layout, and this is our record. It is inserting the data into the record. This is my employee file load to staging. Then I am creating one more step. In this step, I am going to create dependent file layout to staging. Here also the same thing. Just use the people code, drag and drop the dependent, and just save it. Nothing to change. Then the step 3, people code. This is institution. In this people code, drag and drop the institution file layout. Just save it. The next is location. This is people code. Just drag and drop the location. In the step 5, salary. Within this people code, just drag and drop the salary. Just save it. Okay, we are done. I am about to run this program now. Run the application engine. Once it runs successfully, the data will load into the staging database. Just please wait. Okay, it's ran successfully. We can check the log file first. In the temp folder, in the log file, ctemp. This is our inbound process, and then normal. That means successfully it's completed the app inventory. Where we can check? In the back end. You have to check the data. Exactly. Employee 1, employee 2. Test 1, test 2. This is the birth date, male and female. Dependent staging. This is the data we entered from the file. And this is the institution. And this is the location. And this is the location. And this one will be the salary. By this way, we can load the data from file to staging. If your client is saying, I don't want any validation, I want to load the data from file to record without any validation, then in the place of staging record, use your database record directly. Use your database record. Without any validation, use the database record. Then automatically the data will load into the database record itself. But if your client is considering the PeopleSoft validation, then you have to be more careful in the set of validation. This is the first part completion. The second part will take too much of time. The second part I will take in the next session. But please try to complete this part in your practice by this weekend. Staging record load. The next part will explain you about the staging record to database record with the help of a component interface. Okay, I'm stopping the session for today. The next session will be on Monday evening US time. Thank you. Catch you on Monday. I will send you the recording.
Your